Hi to everyone and welcome to the Cell Biology course, Unit 4's second part. Today we are going to focus our attention to the next level of the biology course, and in particular we will talk about in two more details cell and differences between prokaryotics and eukaryotics. So let's start. Here again, as outlined in the first part, if you remember, we already have seen why study biology, why biology is so important, and from now on, in this part, we are going to have a look about some physiological properties and structure of the cells. Basically, all the cells can be divided in two different broad groups, eukaryotic cell or prokaryotic cell. Regarding the eukaryotic cell, just think about that all the eukaryotic cells are human cell or also plant cell, are cells that, as we can see here from the picture, that are generally bigger compared to the other group, which is the prokaryotic cell. We're gonna see in the next slide more detail, but from now on we can just focus our attention based on the fact that the eukaryotic cell has a very complex structure, as you can see here. For example, there are inside different so-called organelles like mitochondria, nucleus, ribosomes, and again, so is a structure even more complex compared to the prokaryotic cell, in which, for example, we can just found basic membrane, we can found ribosomes. We are going to have a look later on what ribosomes are, and basically that's all. So again, the main difference till now that you have to remember is that the eukaryotic cells are cell even more complex compared to the prokaryotics. And again, so the same picture, just for you to have in mind that there is a huge difference between these two kind of cells, and generally every living organism fall into, as I told you before, two groups, two broad groups. Yeah, just remember there are huge groups, eukaryotics or prokaryotics. The specific cellular structure determines which group an organism belongs to. When I say cellular structure, means of what the cell itself is composed. Again, so many organelles and big size is generally associated to eukaryotic cell, small structure is generally associated to prokaryotic cell. Just to have a general definition, prokaryotics are generally defined as organisms composed of cells that lack a cell nucleus or any membrane encased organelles. And we can see here, for example, look, this one, the red one, which I'm trying to highlight with my pointer, is a prokaryotic cell, and as you can see, is a very simple, easy structure. There is absence of nucleus. This one, for example, if we want to make a comparison in the eukaryotic cell, is the nucleus, and for example, we can see that is completely absent in the prokaryotic cell, and as well as there are no organelles, so also called also membrane encased organelles, which are indeed present in the eukaryotic cell, like for example the mitochondria, this one, or for example the Golgi apparatus, this one. Okay, so on the membrane enclosed nucleus. Okay, this one mitochondria, except for ribosomes. On the other part, we can see that, for example, the eukaryotics, by definition, are organisms made up of cells that possesses a nucleus that hold genetic materials. They also possesses a membrane-bound organelles. When I say genetic material, I refer to so-called DNA. We're gonna have a specific lesson also during the molecular biology group, but for now, you can just remember that in the eukaryotic cell, so the very complex cell inside the nucleus, we can find the DNA, which is absent in the prokaryotics. The nucleus, the DNA is present, but in a very different form. Okay. And again, prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell possess two common structures. So even though they are different in terms of size and in terms of organelles, they possess some common structure. Like for example, the plasma membrane, which is a membrane found in all the cell that separate the interior part of the cell from the outside. And for example, just have a look of this big, huge eukaryotic cell. This one is the plasma membrane, okay? This one that I'm trying to point out with my red pointer is the plasma membrane, and as you can see, regarding the definition, is a membrane which separates the external part, so the outside part, to the inner part. And we can find the same, for example, also for the prokaryotic cell, even though the cell itself is smaller, but what can we see here? For example, presence of membrane which separate the external part, the white part, to the internal part. And also the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is a liquid that fill inside of a cell. It's basically composed of water, salt, and various organic molecules. Everything inside the cell here is composite of cytoplasm, and everything inside the in this prokaryotic cell is composite basically of cytoplasm. And also remember, as I highlight and pointed out many times during this video, prokaryotic cells are smaller than eukaryotic cells and have a just simple basic structure. Here, for example, we can easily see again the concept is the same. So this one is the prokaryotic cell, this one is the eukaryotic cell. We can see many differences: presence of nucleus again in the eukaryotic cell, absence of nucleus in the prokaryotic cell. There are some common structure, like for example the ribosomes, the mesosome, presence of plasmid, which is only present in the prokaryotic cell. Plasmid is basically DNA, but as you can see is not inside the nucleus, is just into the cytosol. And as a common structure we can see the plasma membrane also here, and of course the presence of cytoplasm, this one and this one. And now again, it's time for you for an activity. Try to answer to the following questions. So, what are the differences between eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells? Draw an eukaryotic and prokaryotic cell. What are the differences that you can easily observe? Hope that you enjoyed the video and hope to see you soon in the next one. Bye!